What's up again? I'm gonna let you know this video is gonna be all over the place. I haven't bothered to format, anything. Those that are meant to find it are gonna find it. Shadow banning and all. I'm sure that most people, I wouldn't want them to find it anyways. A lot of people, I don't even want them to know who I am. I don't want to be bothered. If they'd believe me in the first place, well, wouldn't want them to believe me. That would lead them to act a little less authentic around me, and that's not what we want. We want to see the world for what it is right now. This one's going to be on the tribulation. As promised in the last one, I want to get it out there because, well, I don't think a lot of people see it coming. Ever since I was a kid, growing up in church and stuff, I'm like, how is all this going to happen? How can it even be allowed? Like, realistically, I mean, it'd be like living through a nightmare, sure, but it can't be too much of a nightmare. People wouldn't take it seriously. Like, oh, it can't even be real. It's not. Reality is a joke at the moment, but how would all these things actually happen? The boils and sores from the plagues, okay, I can see that. The moon going dark, the sun giving a third of its light. Oh, families and neighbors literally killing each other in the tribulation. I mean, what in the world would prompt that? Regardless of religious or political ideologies, you just... And I don't see the differences causing people to literally kill each other. It's just not happening. Fires burning, the rivers running red with blood, and the oceans turning blood, the ocean life dying off, famine, pestilence, and power outages, tainted waters, crops failing, the food and water becoming toxic, livestock dying. All this within, a 7-year period? Come on now. But there's an answer for it. Clues are given, but here's the thing. It's been in our faces for a while. It's gonna be something like we've never seen before on Earth. Or at least that hasn't been recorded. What's on Netflix right now? Hulu. It's just the popular culture. And I ask that because what's going on worldwide right now? A lot of people out of work, getting paid a lot more for being out of work, so nobody wants to go back to work. What are you doing with your time? Are you spending it outside? Well, no, it's disgusting out there. They've played tic-tac-toe in the sky with the airplanes so much. It's hot. It's disgusting in the summer, even in the winter. They're doing that. It's turning it so humid outside. You can't stand to be outside year round. You're just pretty much hiding inside. What are you doing? Online, Netflixing it up. A lot of content for such a cheap price when you think. It's almost like they're trying to get you behind the TV and knowing these things. Seeing these things. Most popular thing in pop culture, I mean, look around on Netflix, is apocalypse stuff. In specific, zombie apocalypse. Go ahead. Some people will go ahead and turn it off. Click away. Doesn't matter. Does that explain literally everything in the tribulation? Yep. It says, woe to those with children, or with child. Yeah, that would suck. Going through a zombie apocalypse with pregnant or with child. People fleeing to the mountains and in caves, trying to escape, whatever this is. Makes sense, doesn't it? But they'll find no asylum where they're going. Moon darkened, sun given a third of its light. Hell, would that be fallout? Nuking certain places to death. The fires? I mean, if something just triggered all at once, kind of a zombie apocalypse hit, how many fires are going to be unmanned just all of a sudden? Wildfires, like crazy. Big one. Families and neighbors literally killing each other. The only explanation for that. That was the trigger for me. I was like, wait. It doesn't matter religious or political ideology. They're not going to be literally killing each other. Unless it's over, some kind of food shortages, water shortages, or something like that. But even then, there's a lot of people that are good at heart. Community set up and sharing, all that. But there's zombies in there. Yeah. Brother against brother, mother against son, neighbor against neighbor, literally killing each other. That would happen. It would have to. The rivers running red, blood. I mean, watch one of the zombie shows. They are. Oceans, dying off, fish dying off, livestock dying off. Yeah. Crops failing. Yeah. Rivers drying up. Well, rivers are turning red. We gotta dam those things up so the sickness doesn't make its way down river, trying to quarantine the tainted waters that would dry up a lot of rivers. I'm sure there's more. But just look at it. I mean, look at the situation. Think it's crazy? Okay. Think it's crazy. What would it take, really, to start a legitimate zombie apocalypse? This is where it all started for me. Like, these shows, Patient 1, Ground Zero, Lab Leak, whatever. Not really possible, because of humanity in the way we're programmed. Fight or flight mode. It just wouldn't go anywhere. At the end, we're familiar with the subject. Now, I'm not going to say that it's going to be literal, walking dead around. Although, the dead in Christ will rise first. The resurrection, not the rapture. That does not mean the rapture. That's called the resurrection. Last time I checked, that was the dead coming back to life. Sounds like zombies to me. But again, they've parked everybody behind the TV. For what reason? Well, predictive programming to get them used to it. Maybe even to trigger the event from, a collective consciousness perspective. Triggering the apocalypse. They're doing it themselves. Now, if you think about humans, we are surfing so many different frequencies. Our goals, we're driven by different things every day. There's no two really thinking alike at the same time. Zombies, not so much. One thing, one time, it's a mind virus is pretty much all it is, right? How would you actually achieve that? It would have to be all at once. Or at least within the same general time frame, the same day. Or it would never get anywhere. Humanity would stomp it out pretty quickly. You would have to infect lots of people over time. And whatever that is, whatever that virus is, would have to lie dormant for a while until it was triggered. Like I said, they're a hive mind, pretty much, once it is triggered. What would it take to actually get there? Well, like I said, infect a lot of people at once. How would you even do that? few keywords I'm going to try to get around here. But I would say taking a certain jab that's offered freely from, worldwide. This is worldwide events, right? It's not location specific. You'd have to have the whatever, maybe a hardware and a software combination, maybe a certain test and a certain jab. And if you really look close at who exactly is getting these tests and jabs, and the fearful ones and the self-serving ones not worried about anybody else but themselves. They're at the front of the line now, aren't they? You'd have to trigger it. Like I said, surfing the same wave of frequency, so to speak. And if you think frequency, everything is sound, everything is frequency. Well, it would all have to be the same trigger, right? Now, if you think about what are the plans for the world elite going forwards, if you've looked into, what a certain hard right group is planning for the world elite. Well, the world elite definitely includes the owners of all of the media stations. They're going to be off. They're not going to be up and running. Nobody's going to be working. We're all going to be at home watching certain public trials, right? On a certain free airwave channel, the emergency broadcast system. Does that ring a bell with frequency-wise? Yeah. What about power outages? Once that frequency gets triggered, people go into that hive-mind state, whatever that is. I think the fires would be left unmanned. TVs would definitely be left on. Frequency wide open. Those who aren't watching it, that aren't triggered, well, they couldn't be anywhere near TV. So we would have to have mandatory rolling blackouts. We'd have to shut off the entire power grids till we can make sure every TV was off. Black Mirror episode like that, actually. So if you look up that, Q's plans for the world elite, I believe that's going to happen. It's bound to happen, right? Crimes against humanity. Well, all of humanity is going to be watching their public trials on the emergency broadcast system. It's a trap. If you have that certain hardware installed in your brain, up in your brain from a certain test being done, a respiratory test being tested way up in your brain, makes no sense, but hey, is what it is, right? Certain jab being the instructions, the software, so to speak. Just saying, that's what I've kind of been told is coming. If all the predictive programming is there, it checks off every single box of what's to come in the tribulation period. Like I said, the boils, sores, sun and the moon being blocked out from fallout, neighbors killing each other, families killing each other, the fires, rivers running red with blood, everything dying out, earthquakes. Hell, the quakes could just be bombings of cities trying to stomp out the plague or whatever is going on. The woes with the children, with child, the fleeing to the mountains, caves, and all. Why would you leave your home, the safety of your homes, neighborhoods, head up to mountains and caves? Why would you do that? Livestock dying. I'm keeping looking over here. I got like a list going, and it's like there's only one thing that explains all this. Not saying it's your stereotypical Hollywood zombies with the dead in Christ rising first, resurrection happening first, right? To kick it off first, before any of this other stuff. Well, it just so happens that would have to happen first before any of this other stuff would really have the chance to get out of hand. And the dead in Christ. I'm alive in Christ. Christ is alive within me. We don't have to worry. The elect, as far as I'm aware, we won't even be here. And it's not out of, fear or anything. I was perfectly willing to go through it. I was like, well, I see it coming. I can prepare. Do the best I can. I'm protected. I know that. I'm living in no fear. But even so, it's just later on, I was like, well, take about 3.5 years of that gone. That's about the lifespan that would be expected from something like that. Elect coming back and cleaning up the mess. We would pretty much take the supernatural gifts to clean any and all of that up. Let's see. Yeah, I just looked over it. I don't think there's much more to it. If you want to look into it, have at it. But do that before you go arguing. I'm not going into stereotypical Hollywood zombie flicks. I'm not saying that's how it's going to go. But as far as a hive mind goes, that is going to be the case. You can see effects and tests from that, like right now. Frequencies being shot out from the TV, internet, and media in general. And you see it working on people. Try to talk to anyone about certain things, and you literally see the transformation in front of you, where they just completely shut off any common sense. You can put things right in their face, where they're, attentive and listening, and then all of a sudden it's just, there's some kind of trigger that just makes them go crazy and not thinking at all. The same shared responses, the same things between completely different people that think completely different. They just resort to the same bullcrap lines back to, it's like totally out of character. They get so mad over so many things and then can't tell you why. I've noticed that for a long time. But I don't know how to end these things. So go look for yourself. Try to find discrepancies. If you can find something in the scripture that can't be explained by some kind of mind virus or zombie apocalypse, which is a hive mind, is what it is. Hell-bent on the destruction of humanity. Name it. Tell me. What can it possibly... I haven't read it. I haven't went over it. All I know is the things that I've read from, growing up in the church and everything. I've went through a few YouTube videos. The bowls, the candles, the trumpets, whatever. The events that are supposed to take place during the tribulation, and it's all there. It's all explained by the zompocalypse. So, by all means, prove me wrong. If there's something out there that isn't explained by it, And if there's anything else that does explain all of it flawlessly, without fail, mention it, because hell, I would hate to think that that's the fate of humanity. But hey, you know, if you can think of a way that a third of the population is just dying all at once, you know, half of the population, or I can't remember what it is, but I can't think of one thing that covers every single check, you know, except for that. So I'll talk to you in the comments. Think it's crazy? Okay, prove me wrong. I'll let you later. Love y'all.